talking about the government shutdown earlier, and we are now at day 34. So if we go through tomorrow, we'll tie the record. And then if we go to Wednesday, then it will be the longest government shutdown thanks to the Democrats. And so we'll continue to cover that story. We were speaking earlier and got a lot of reaction to it. A new and positively horrifying new way that these nut jobs are attacking ICE.
Pun intended.
Sure, absolutely, pun intended. Chaos unfolded in a quaint Illinois city after a driver rear-ended a Border Patrol vehicle, sparking the arrest of a man who allegedly grabbed an agent's genitals, according to officials. Now, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you can see what transpired. You've got this red vehicle.
This is not okay. Get the out of Edmonton. You do not belong here.
And they're screaming, "You don't belong here. You don't belong here." Well, it's interesting that ICE is actually going after illegal alien gang members who actually don't belong here. But you hear the guy screaming, "You don't belong here. You don't belong here." What happened is, I don't know if you saw this, but this red sedan rams into the back of this federal vehicle, and then one of the people inside the red sedan got out and tried to actually help the illegal alien gang member from escaping the vehicle. And then somebody aggressively grabbed a member of ICE their, genitals. A red sedan rammed into a federal vehicle on Friday in Evanston, Illinois, about 50 miles outside of Chicago, after the driver aggressively tailgated officials. A Department of Homeland Security DHS spokesperson told the Daily Mail. Now, again, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you see that the members of ICE are very aggressively trying to deal with these folks that, number one, very much aggressively tried to go after ICE. And then one of them actually rammed the ICE vehicle with their vehicle. And so ICE had to do what they had to do, which is prepare to, threaten to pepper spray these folks. And so that's what led to one of these members of ICE getting their genitals grabbed aggressively. Now, let's be honest. If you're grabbing somebody's genitals, it's always going to be aggressive. ICE agents were in the area after they arrested 5 immigrants from Mexico for criminal trespass and multiple illegal entries into the country. And the point is that the video that I just played, the audio that you heard, it, of course, over the weekend went kind of sort of viral. Oh, my gosh, look at how aggressive ICE is being. What are these whack jobs ran into the back of an ICE vehicle and tried to let the bad guy in the car escape? Not to mention the grabbing of the jewels. An unnamed man who allegedly assaulted a Border Patrol agent also grabbed the agent's genitals and squeezed them, per the spokesperson. So now the Trump administration has had to respond to this. They say, as you know, this is an extremely painful experience for most human beings and justifies certain responses. The agent delivered several defensive strikes to the agitator to free his
soldiers.
They say the agitator's vice, to free his boys from the agitator's vice. He wouldn't let go. I mean, that is out and out assault, is it not? I mean, yeah, it seems to me like it's an assault. Several videos circulating on social media showed intense scenes from the car crash after a man and woman in the red vehicle decided to follow the federal vehicle in a bid to warn the community of their presence, witnesses telling local television. Bystanders said the agents then slammed on their brakes and caused the sedan to collide into the vehicle, which appeared to have a detainee already inside. So now they're blaming the ICE van or the Border Patrol van, whatever it is, for stopping because, the vehicle, the red sedan, was following very closely behind. Well, they probably had to stop because they saw somebody else that they wanted to get. But here's the thing. I guess that's going to be my question. Is this now the new way that the folks on the left are going to start going after ICE and the Border Patrol? Is by doing that, grabbing the groin, if you will, of these brave men within ICE? I, of course, almost just by habit, almost stupidly said the men and women of ICE, but of course, women don't have that situation. There's nothing to grab there as far as the groinal area.
Not according to Democrats.
Well, that's the obvious joke, isn't it? Anyway, this is what Donald Trump had to say about when is all this going to be done. He was on 60 Minutes, Norah O'Donnell. When is all this going to be done? When will you declare mission accomplished?
When will you declare mission accomplished on immigration?
Well, it takes a long time because, probably I say 25 million people were let into our country. A lot of people say it was 10 million people, but whether it was 10 or I believe I'm much closer to the right number. Of the 25, many of them should not be here. Mm-hmm. But we're cleaning up our cities. I campaigned on crime, but I've done a much better job on crime than I thought. The crime numbers are way down, even though we have a lot more people in our country that really shouldn't be here, and many of them are stone cold, hard criminals.
So that is President Trump. And, when will you decide that it's mission accomplished? We got a long way to go. Some people are saying that Trump is failing in his mass deportation efforts. If he is, and I don't know if he is or not, but you have a lot of people self-deporting. We already know that. You have a lot of people self-deporting, and we are getting the bad guys out of our country. But it wouldn't be, nearly as problematic if the Democrats would stop trying to block literally everything that the president is trying to do. So now the question is, what's next? And I think it's just, going to be a continuation of the same as it should be. I think this is at least if you look at the polling for President Trump, this is actually a winning, what's the right way to put this? This is a winning policy for President Trump because people want to see that mass deportation. He's fighting, local officials. He's fighting, the courts as well. His administration, the people within ICE and the Border Patrol, they've got bounties on their heads from the drug cartels. I mean, it goes on and on. But I think as far as that goes, I myself, anyway, believe that President Trump is doing a good job. By the way, you remember do you remember all of the nasty craziness that was going on college campuses earlier this year when you had all of that anti-Semitism going on and you had all the protests, free Gaza and all that kind of stuff, all the anti-Semitic protests that were going on? The chancellor for Vanderbilt University here in Nashville actually had something to say about where those protests originated from. You remember, this is what happened at Vanderbilt University during I don't think Vanderbilt was as bad as, some of the East Coast schools like Columbia. But this is what happened, Vanderbilt University in the chancellor's office.
Coward!
You're a coward!
You're a coward!
You're a coward! Daniel Diermeyer is a coward, okay? His staff said that he was not in the moment, so he couldn't meet with us. He was in that elevator 5 minutes ago!
Shame. These people are just so silly. So apparently now you've got some of these folks out there that are chancellors to various schools. They're saying that Iran was behind all this, which I thought it was George Soros, but I would be willing to bet that there's a number of different people or entities that are behind all this. Vanderbilt, this is from the socials. Vanderbilt had to suspend roughly seven students from the lobby of the chancellor's office. They were occupying the lobby of the chancellor's office. The administration canceled a student BDS referendum. Now, if you don't know what BDS stands for, I've been talking about this for a long time. Boycott, divest, and sanction Israel. And so the chancellor over there at Vanderbilt canceled it, and that's why they decided to occupy his office. But this is interesting. There's a discussion about who is behind all of the anti-Semitic protests. They said it was Iran who was behind all of that. This is from the Daily Mail. The chancellor of Syracuse University has revealed he believes that it was Iran who was behind the pro-Palestine protests that swept across U.S. campuses. He says, when things happened that I really believe were encouraged from Iran, it did not have the involvement of very many, if any, of our own students. The chancellor says from Syracuse University. He revealed his hypothesis on a panel with other chancellors from Washington, University of Washington, and Vanderbilt University. They say it was hard to discipline students for the demonstrations on campus because many were wearing face masks to avoid accountability. So, of course, it is always interesting, and if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you see that
No more! No more!
all these guys are wearing masks.
No more! No more!
Shame, shame. And the obvious joke is, okay, so you have all of these people that are okay with masks if it's these people trying to avoid accountability, but, you know, police officers, Border Patrol, ICE, and all that wearing masks to protect themselves and their family. Democrats can't have that, right? The Vanderbilt chancellor, Daniel Diermeyer, agreed, saying that he, too, believed the protests were backed by organized networks while speaking on this particular panel. He says students were looking and using the same playbook that they had seen at Columbia and other places, and it was the same messaging. It was more than just a social contagion. I do believe that there were organized networks as well. I mean, for sure, we saw all of that. We documented a lot of this back then. Outside agitators. Maybe some of it was George Soros, some of it foreign nations, but this can all be stopped by not allowing these agitators, number one, to wear masks, and number two, just start throwing them out. That's all you've got to do. It is very simple when you think about it. And charge them serious crimes. And of course, the Democrats, they were all about this, fanning the flames of the BDS movement against Israel. Again, boycott, divest, and sanction. And by the way, just to keep you updated on today's news, Iran is out there today, this morning, saying that they are going to rebuild their nuclear facilities with greater strength. They claim that they do not seek a nuclear weapon, wink, wink, nod, nod, which, as I say, the entire world laughed at. It is 7:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me in the least if they are saying that Iran was behind this. It also wouldn't surprise me if they found, because a lot of people say, well, George Soros is the one that backed that as well. It wouldn't surprise me if, you know, you've got the Democrats and George Soros and Iran and their sympathizers trying to fan the flames of all of this anti-Israel sentiment that has been going on across America for, I mean, really, it's been for years now, and really since Israel was attacked and you had 1,200 people brutally murdered by Hamas. To me, it just makes all the sense in the world that anti-Israel sentiment is fueled by the likes of the Democrats and Iran and George Soros. All right, so I don't know what Tim Walz's name is and Tim Walz's daughter's name is. I don't really care. So she gets on the socials, and she says that she and her friends, Joan and Sam, have a litmus test for the guys that they will grace for their presence. Listen to this.
A litmus test for me and my friends for like years now has been if the guy we're talking to follows Joe Rogan on Instagram, they're a red flag and we should probably stop talking to them. And the times when they do follow him on Instagram and we haven't stopped talking to them, which was in the past, obviously, it's never ended well. So yeah, I just want to say that I stand by that.
Okay, so there you go.
Her name is Hope,
Hope,
and she's a nutball.
Oh, hope she shuts up.
are you sure we can call her Hopeless.
Yeah,
Hopeless.
yeah.
So the comments, of course, you'd heard, is it ratioing? Is it that what it's called? Where like all the...
Getting ratioed.
Yeah, getting ratioed. Chris Ann explains it. So the comments are just classic. Her dad, Tim Walz, right? Her dad is a literal red flag, many people said. Another person, many people said, pretty sure that you are the red flag. Another one says, how did your dad ever get elected? Like, how? Please tell us. Another one, she sounds very inclusive and inviting.
And if I can't stand to listen to that voice that goes up at the end of every single sentence and every single phrase that they say.
Mm-hmm.
And like totally.
Like when we go and we talk to boys, like if they follow Joe Rogan, we stop talking to them because, Joe Rogan is a multi-millionaire and he makes his living doing podcasts and he has a wonderful wife and wonderful children and he earned his money the old-fashioned way. He earned it. I can see why Tim Walz's daughter would hate that.
Everyone forgets he started out on Fear Factor, which is one of the grossest, weirdest shows ever.
Right.
Joe Rogan did?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the host of Fear Factor.
Joe, I didn't know that.
Oh,
He had
did?
hair. That was the difference.
Yeah.
Got it.
He's had what an interesting career. I mean, he's been on Fear Factor. He's been, and he still is
the
on the
wrestling
comedy
thing?
circuit.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
what a
MMA.
guy.
MMA, whatever.
Yeah, an MMA.
Yes, I know MMA is different than wrestling. I know.
One of them is fake.
You go tell a wrestler that it's fake and see how that works out for you. Anyway.
His mascara might run.
Oh.
Anyway. So, yeah, I can see why she would absolutely hate Joe Rogan. It's interesting, though. Like, what is Joe Rogan? Like, Joe Rogan has spoken to just as many Democrats as he has Republicans. So what exactly is it? Oh, I know what it is, Joan. It's his toxic masculinity. No, wait, I'm sorry. It's his toxic masculinity.
He has toxic masculinity.
Oh,
yeah, he
gosh.
bow hunts and kills his own elk and eats it for dinner. Oh, the horror of sustainable hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I guess is she famous for, being as loony as her dad? Because her dad is a nut job.
I mean, he did.
Like, Tim Walz is just bizarre.
Did put tampons in the boys' bathrooms.
She's like big on social media. She's an influencer.
Oh, is she
She's
really?
an influencer. Yeah.
Of the brain dead.
Yeah, I don't, my 2 cents on her is honestly, the whole clan over there. I mean, she fits right in, of course, with the, she fits right in with all the other, morons on the left. But, I mean, people are ratioing her. And I think that there's some people, and some talk show hosts, honestly, who they thrive on the hate. And so those people, they thrive on the hate. She's probably one of those.
Listen to this. This is from USA Today.
Okay.
A couple days ago. Could she be the Democrats' greatest hope? Meet Tim Walz's TikTok famous daughter. The first daughter in Minnesota could have been second daughter in the U.S. Now, Walz has made a name for herself outside of her father and famous family. They're talking about her potentially taking on a role in politics.
She's got the intellectual insight of a pinto bean.
She's trying to offer a humanizing place to talk politics with her social media presence.
Really? Because what we just played was not
humanizing.
Literally what Joe Rogan does.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Sam. Actually, USA Today is branding her as some sort of, the great white hope, I guess, for the Democrats. But the reality is that, you know what? She's right up there, it seems to me, with like Jasmine Crockett, just saying stupid stuff. Afton Bain as well. I mean, just all of them.
Right.
We had the greatest litmus test, Miss Waltz, when Joe Rogan invited both presidential candidates onto his show. And Kamala Harris's camp made him jump through hoops and then pulled the string at the last minute. And Donald Trump said, sure, name your time and place.
That's exactly right.
That was the only litmus test we needed.
Well, yeah, because Kamala Harris, of course, and Tim Walz couldn't handle it, couldn't deal with it. So they dodged Joe Rogan like a bullet. They certainly clearly did.
And then proceeded to edit her 60 Minutes interview like crazy.
How did, by the way, Nicki Minaj is out there throwing Donald Trump some love, which is shocking because Nicki Minaj, if you don't know who Nicki Minaj is, she's a rapper, hip-hop artist kind of a thing, I guess. So President Trump is looking at the Christians in Nigeria. Now, this morning, I don't know if you spend a lot of time online, Joan, looking at this stuff. Mm. But what's happening is throughout Nigeria, these marauding Muslims are killing all the Christians. And so this is, obviously horrific. It's horrifying. There's all these videos, and I happened upon one because I Googled on X, and there's all these videos of just, I hate to say it, but there's just like bloody dead people in churches in Nigeria.
Yeah.
The after effects of the marauding Muslims that come in there and they just rampage and kill people that are in churches, Christians. And so President Trump is now saying, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. This is part of what he said.
They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria. And they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world, very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
All right, so President Trump is out there now saying, enough of this. This is not going to fly. And now he is telling, the Nigerian government, you need to stop this, and you need to stop this now. Otherwise, there will be consequences. And we'll get into the praise from not only Nicki Minaj, but a lot of other folks, too, that happen to be from the left. So this is what President Trump said about the rampaging Muslims in Nigeria. He says, Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Which, you know what? The Democrats, you know how they're always talking about how Donald Trump is an existential threat? Memo to Democrats, this is actually what an existential threat is. Thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. But that is the least of it, President Trump said on Truth Social. When Christians or any such group is slaughtered, like is happening in Nigeria, something must be done. He says, I am asking Congressman Riley Moore, together with Chairman Tom Cole and House Appropriations Committee, to immediately look into this matter and report back to me. The United States cannot stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria and numerous other countries. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian population around the world. And I saw someplace else where the president talked about pulling any aid. Can you look and see, are we giving aid to Nigeria? If we are, that's got to stop immediately. If the Nigerian government is just simply allowing Christians to be slaughtered by these Muslims.
So in fiscal year 2023, we had about $1 billion committed for financial assistance.
Come on, man. Why are we giving money to Nigeria when they're allowing this to happen? By the way, this has been going on a while. I talked about this a while ago. Nicki Minaj, of course, who, by the way, has been a very, very big Donald Trump critic over the years, as you can imagine. Reading this, she says on X, reading this made me feel a deep sense of gratitude. We live in a country where we can freely worship God. No group should ever be persecuted for practicing their religion. We don't have to share the same beliefs in order for us to respect each other. Numerous countries all around the world are being affected by this horror, and it's dangerous to pretend we don't notice. She finally says, thank you to the president and his team for taking this seriously. God bless every persecuted Christian. Let's remember to lift them up in prayer. And I love that. That's Nicki Minaj. Let the canceling of Nicki Minaj begin for standing up to the what's going on in Nigeria with the murder of all of these innocent Christians. And it is horrifying. I would not recommend anybody do this, but if you want to know what's going on, just do just a modicum of research and you will see what is going on. People are afraid to go to church. So you have that. And then, of course, you had what happened in London. See this over the weekend? You had, I think, is it 9 or 11? You've got 9 people, I believe, 9 or 11 people that are fighting for their lives after a mass stabbing that happened on the train. So, a lot of people take the train in London. Guy gets on. Stop me when you've heard this before. Guy gets on the train, and the train is moving. The train is moving. And guy gets on and just starts stabbing people. A horrifying, horrifying thing. So now you've got all of these people that are fighting for their lives in London. And it is a horrible, horrible situation. And the problem, of course, and y'all know, you've heard this story 1,000 times before. I don't know if they've actually named the person as a Muslim. I don't know who the person is.
They're not. His name is Anthony Williams.
Yes.
He's a 32-year-old black man.
Yep.
But they're not saying anything about whether he has an Islamic association.
Yeah, like radical, we've called it radicalization. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people, because let's be honest, and we talked about this on Friday, you have people that are in Europe and in London. You've got all of these Muslims that have come in, and it is destroying their culture. It is destroying the Muslim culture. Or I should say it's destroying the European culture. And people in London, they're really angry. And the reason why they're angry is because their entire culture and their entire society is, simply put, evaporating, because you have all of these people that have come into their country. And obviously they refuse to assimilate, and they're murdering people. And so, and earlier, I think it was on Thursday or Friday, I played you some of that audio. Maybe I'll replay it again coming up here after the 8 o'clock hour, after the 8 o'clock news. But you've got people in London that are crying because people are, simply put, getting stabbed, and they're dying at massive rates. And, as they all say, and we talked about this last week, and we always seem to say that we're about a decade behind Europe when these kinds of things happen. So the more that Europe continues to let in all of these Muslims, all of these aliens, if you will, and that's the government that's doing it. I was reading about this story, Joan, and I could feel my blood starting to boil, because you have all of these, Keir Starmer and the local police chief and the local, politicians. And I'm reading it from the Daily Mail, right? And the Daily Mail is out of the UK. And every single one of these politicians is like, our thoughts and prayers. This is a horrific attack. And I'm reading this and I'm getting so incredibly angry. Yep. Because it's like, you're the ones that allowed this to happen. You're the ones that allow this to happen. You're the ones that don't deport these people. You're the ones that don't allow people to speak out. Otherwise, you throw them in jail or you block them on social media for simply speaking out what is actually happening in Europe.
Yeah. And meanwhile, back here, we've got Omar Fateh running for mayor of Minneapolis, waving a Somali flag and speaking his nation's tongue at the podium.
Ilhan Omar, Somalia first, right? That's what Ilhan Omar said, Somalia first.
Yeah. You import the third world, you become the third world.
That's exactly right.